Quadrant. Around 2,609 of my favorite songs. I got mine for 1,600. Håller på 3 frågor för att jämföra priser och spara upp till 40%.
Är det du som är Sam?
Men jag jobbar med Sam.
Ja, men vad bra.
Gör du också det? Annars kan du gå in på av.se/sam där vi ser riktigt pedagogiska filmer om systematiskt arbetsmiljöarbete.
Okej.
Det är ju alla arbetsgivares ansvar.
Ja.
Om det otänkbara händer, kontakta våra larmoperatörer brandkåren. Med Lockguard kan vi låsa upp dörren för räddningstjänsten på distans. Säkra din familj och ditt hem idag. Besök verisure.se.
Bältros. I min ålder. Det trodde jag aldrig.
Jag hade förfärliga blåsor. Smärtan var olidlig. Jag kunde inte sova. Jag önskar någon talat om hur jobbigt det var. Trodde aldrig att just jag skulle drabbas.
Underskatta inte bältros.
Kontakta Maximatör redan idag.
En ilning är en obehaglig kortvarig smärta som oftast kommer i samband med att man äter eller dricker någonting kallt. Ilningen försvinner oftast inte av sig själv utan behöver behandlas. Sensodyne fungerar mot den här typen av besvär. Jag rekommenderar Sensodyne för att jag vet att det verkligen fungerar.
När det dagliga dammet blir ett problem, då är det dags för Swiffer Duster. Effektiv mot alla typer av damm. Den fungerar som en kraftfull magnet som fångar och låser in dammet, även på svåråtkomliga ställen. Det är dags att säga adjö till dammet. Swiffer Duster. Rent igen på nolltid.
Du behöver inte gömma smärtan bakom leendet. Voltaren kan hjälpa. Voltaren gel lindrar smärtan och dämpar inflammation direkt där det gör ont. Och hjälper dig att hålla kroppen i rörelse. Voltaren. Rörelse är glädje. Jemmofix lågprisbyggmarknad med julkänsla för pengarna.
Sprid julstämning med fantastiska erbjudanden från Jysk. Spara upp till 50% på tomtar. Till exempel den här tomten för endast 40 kronor. Spara 50%. Jysk. Scandinavian Sleeping and Living.
RS är ett smittsamt luftvägsvirus som ofta blir en vanlig förkylning. Men är du över 60 år och har underliggande sjukdom kan RS-virus bli allvarligt. Det finns vaccin. Läs mer på vaccin.se.
Tjena, Tommy här. Spokesperson för Norrmejeriet. Vad kan ha hänt på felfronten på sistone? Ja du, kolla här! Va? Norrsken, gott!
Vi jämför varje dag för att hitta det som passar oss bäst. På reducera.se kan du jämföra flera långivare och samla dina lån på ett ställe. Ta semester från vintern. Se alla våra erbjudanden i appen och på tui.se. Tui, allt som en resa kan vara.
Bara på Storytel.
Nu vet alla sanningen. Om pappan som under 20 år förgrep sig på sina familjehemsbarn. Jag har försökt glömma, men nu står jag mitt i stormen.
Lyssna på Familjehemsflickan. En sann historia. Bara på Storytel.
You know what? I've got something I want to tell you. You're gonna be a girl.
Att spraya något upp i näsan kan kännas obehagligt. Otrivin har en unik spraypump som aktiveras genom ett enkelt knapptryck. Ger en behaglig spraydusch och lindrar din näsknäppa inom bara några minuter. Otrivin med unik spraypump och
Hallå? Hallå? Hallå, ja.
Det är inte bara ett jobb.
People can matcha allt uppdraget.
Det är en livsstil. Ice Road Rescue. Nya avsnitt söndagar klockan 21 på National Geographic.
Hallå.
Some people travel to see the world. I travel to question the forces that shape entire nations. Wow, is it possible? My name is Professor Hannah Fry. I want to meet the people with unexpected stories to tell. And dig up the peculiar and wonderful treasures that reveal what a country is made of.
The Infinite Explorer. Nya avsnitt lördagar klockan 21 på National Geographic.
Programmet presenteras av Lyxkik pepparkaka från Max, Sveriges godaste burgare.
Programmet presenteras av Almandy. Tårtor i frysdisken.
When the bottle is unsealed, it contains some very unusual contents.
There were 12 nails, there were 8 pins, there was a leather heart pierced by a nail, and there were fingernail clippings, and there is also human hair.
But if that sounds weird, wait until you hear about the mysterious liquid also found inside.
That liquid is urine. It is human urine.
Why would anyone seal these weird and revolting items in a bottle? Chemical analysis of the urine in the Greenwich bottle reveals a surprising substance. Sulfur.
Sulfur is not normally found in urine, so whoever used the sulfur must have put it purposefully inside of the bottle.
And 400 years ago, sulfur had a very sinister reputation.
In the 16th and 17th century, sulfur was called brimstone. This is a term that is used in the Bible, and it's always associated with super bad things like hell, damnation. You find sulfur in and around volcanoes. It's associated with all the violence and the menace and the appalling smells of volcanoes. So it's associated with hell, with demons, with torture and torment, and an appalling fate for sinners.
So sulfur suggests this bottle could be linked to demonic forces.
In the 16th, 17th century, people genuinely believed that the air around them at all times was boiling with demons. And they work in partnership with vile human beings. The gonos, the devil's side, in order to get magical powers and torment their neighbors. And these characters are generally known as witches.
Is this weird bottle connected to witchcraft?
In the 16th and 17th centuries, witchcraft was really a part of everyday life.
Witchcraft across cultures has long been used as an explanation for dread and tragic events that come upon us, and for which we find it difficult to come up with a rational explanation.
Disease, warfare, famine, all could strike really without warning, and people needed reasons why these things were happening to them.
They also needed someone to blame.
Witchcraft is a crime in the early modern period in England. You accuse people in court of it, and if they're found guilty, then they are hanged. Probably about 400 or 500 people die in this way.
People try to protect themselves from the horrors of witchcraft by fighting magic with magic.
And so there's this enormous market for DIY magic, for practical help, for spells and aids to ward off witchcraft and demons.
These often come in the form of apotropaic magic.
It's an umbrella term that's applied to objects or symbols that ward off magic from those who are using or wearing them. You often find these symbols burned or etched onto entryways, doors, windows, fire order to stop these evil spirits from getting into the home.
Other bottles, like the Greenwich one, have been found that appear to be used in this way.
They tend to be put in places where the household can be breached. A lot of them in the chimney or by or under the hearth, some of them under the doorstep, some of them in spaces in the walls.
The metal pins and nails found inside the bottle fit the idea that it is a magical device.
There's a long-standing tradition that spirits, both good and bad, don't like metal. It scares them, it's something unnatural. And so, if you want to protect a person or a house, you stick metal around them somewhere or hang it around their neck. And that will put evil spirits in particular to flight.
This strange bottle can only be one thing.
This is known as a witch bottle, a form of anti-witchcraft.
But how are urine, fingernails, and hair supposed to ward off witches?
The presence of so many different kinds of easily and painlessly shed bodily parts from a person, the same person, inside a witch bottle, strongly suggests the witch bottle is there to represent the body of the afflicted person.
This draws on the idea of sympathetic magic, the idea that you can impact one thing through its relationship to something else.
One theory is that these body parts aren't intended to ward off the witch, but to attract it, making the Greenwich bottle a trap.
You bait the trap with fingernails or hair or urine or indeed belly button fluff or what have you, and that draws the witch in.
X-rays taken before the bottle is opened show how the trap is set up.
You have the restricted neck on the vessel, and the pins and nails are situated in the restricted neck, so the witch goes in and it can't get back out. Effectively entrapped in the bottle and then impaled on these nails and needles when trying to escape.
What about the nail piercing a heart-shaped piece of leather?
It's seen as a kind of spell breaker, so not something so much directed in an attack magic way against an individual, but a magical means of deflecting malicious spells against an individual.
If this strange bottle is a magical device, who makes it?
Witch bottles were not just something you threw together at home. You'd have to go to a university-educated physician or folk healer in order to help turn these ordinary items into something magical.
These entrepreneurial healers are in effect witch doctors, often known as cunning folk.
Perhaps one of the last and better documented of these was a man known as Cunningborough, who's from Essex, mainly practiced in the 19th century, who had a mirror which was said to be able to find lost property, and a telescope which could see through walls, which was a useful tool for detecting infidelity. And of course, he's also one of the last people that we know was making witch bottles.
One way to use the witch bottle is to fill it with its contents and seal it, and you put it over a hot fireplace.
You heat it, presumably to activate the broom, because the bottle is throwing back the spell upon the witch who sent it. And therefore, as the bottle gets hotter, so the witch is more rapidly and painfully afflicted by the counterspell being thrown back.
It boils, causing the witch excruciating pain. And then the curse is lifted.
But this method came with some very non-supernatural dangers.
There's one recorded case from the 18th century of a man who thought that his cows were bewitched, filling an earthenware jar, placing it over the fireplace, and then it exploded, causing severe damage to his face.
We know what the Greenwich bottle is and how it is supposed to work. But what exactly is it made for?
There are things we can learn from the human remains associated with these jars.
Magnifying the hair is revealing.
There were little dots, and these were lice, meaning that the person from whom the hair came had a serious lice infestation. And there's quite a strong connection between vermin and witchcraft, in that one of the obvious ways in which witches can torment victims, in some cases sufficiently to ruin their health, is to send an infestation of vermin like lice and fleas. And these can reduce somebody's life to misery.
So maybe the bottle's owner is attempting to cure themselves of a lice curse. Or maybe not.
We'll probably never know who made the Greenwich witch bottle or who it was intended to protect.
What we do know is that belief in witches and witch bottles endures for centuries after this strange thing is made.
Really, the fear of witchcraft doesn't disappear from most of the British and indeed Europeans and Americans until the early 20th century, with a spread of much more satisfying and soothing social remedies like a proper health service, old age pensions, insurance companies.
So a weird bottle of urine turns out to be the 17th century alternative to healthcare and a pension. Very few things get stranger than that.
Programmet presenteras av Kids Brand Store.
Programmet presenteras av Trygg-Hansas hemförsäkringsstor. Vårt bästa skydd för en tryggare vardag.
Nu i december, varje dag tills julafton, öppnas en ny lucka som välkomnar dig till vår magiska värld. En värld där historia vaknar till liv. Där människans eviga skaparlust går från mästerverk till underverk. Från oss alla till er alla. Välkommen den 1 till 24 december från klockan 20 till vår magiska julkalender på National Geographic. Har du någonsin undrat vad som krävs för att hålla igång turbinerna, resväskor i rörelse och jetplanen i luften? Det här är Melbournes flygplats. Få en inblick i en dygnet runt operation.
Suspected firearm still in the chamber. Responding to aircraft incident.
Kliv ombord
Well, and this kangaroo jumping anyway.
på ett actionfyllt äventyr.
What's inside that? Expect the unexpected.
Inside Melbourne Airport. Nya avsnitt måndagar klockan 22 på National Geographic.
Programmet presenteras av Swedea Företagsförsäkring. Försäkringar för småföretagare.
Programmet presenteras av Plock. En destination för mat och paus.
When I was a kid, I drew all over the wall with a marker. I'm sure I had a good reason, although it escapes me now. But I didn't realize that I was going to get in a ton of trouble. And so I hit on the perfect alibi. The Easter Bunny did it. That was airtight. You can't poke holes in that. No one knows where the Easter Bunny is. Problem was my parents didn't believe in the Easter Bunny anymore. I was busted. I learned a hard lesson that day about the nature of magic. Now, sadly, I'm an adult, and I envy my younger self, the one who believed in magic. Did the wrinkles and gray hair grow in inverse relationship to wonder? So what does the Easter Bunny have to do with the Bermuda Triangle? We miss that wonder. We long for a world with magic in it. So here I am on the edge of a boat in the Bermuda Triangle. And I'm hosting a TV show about curses. So maybe all hope isn't lost. There's a desire to believe in something beyond our understanding. Can a science-minded skeptic like myself reignite the spark of magic? Is there an intersection point between science and myth? Wait, what was that? Dude, that was a shark, man. Oh, there you go. There goes the genius. I used to be a professional sailor, and at some point, I've crossed most of the world's oceans on various sailboats. And I've seen some pretty strange things. If you want to hear some stories, just mix sailors and alcohol, and you'll turn on a spigot you wish you could stop.
Who's got like a good Bermuda Triangle story?
One time we went out with a sonar, traced it at the bottom of the ocean, and something sent a magnetic field back up. But they said it was like almost 100 feet in the ground.
Deep underneath him.
Yeah.
Probably Godzilla. Yeah. What's the vortex? It's a spot where all the instruments go crazy and it's like a portal to another dimension or something. Have you guys seen anything like that on here? Like weird? Yeah. I mean, there's no way to see a line will be right there. I mean, you guys all know Stephen Knowles, right? Like his story about they were doing like 40 knots or so. You had 3 or 4 guys on the boat. One green light came screaming up behind the boat. And then it came around to the side of the boat. They're still doing 40 knots. Lit up the whole side of the boat. And then they took off like a rocket.
That's crazy.